In this session, we are going to see a demonstration of how we can see organizational units in SAP. As we have already said, there are different organizational structures depending on the functional area where we are. So here we are just going to see an example of the logistics one, seeing a material. But of course, this would be very different for the different functional areas as financial accounting or controlling. They have different organizational structures. Some of them are common, like it can be the company code, but there are other different structures. So for that, we are going to go to the material master, display, current. So we are going to display this material. This is a material I have created before. And we are going to see here how we could select the data we want to see depending on the organizational structure. Here we see where you have organizational levels and we have views. These are the different views of the material master. These are depending of the functional area to which they belong. Fields, material master fields are going to be grouped in different views depending on the functional area where they are used. So for instance here, we are going to delete that and we are only going to see the MRP views, just for this explanation. If we go to the bottom organizational level, that it would be the same as pressing it here. You see, the system is asking us for the plant. This is the first logistic organizational level, the localization where the factory, the warehouse, it is, where this material is going to be used, or it is being used at the moment, and the storage location. This storage location belongs to this plant, so we can create a material. We can create a material in different plants if we want to use it in more than one, and we can create it in different storage locations if we need to move it from different storage locations inside the same plant or the different plants. If we don't create the material for this plant and this storage location, we won't be able to do material movements to this plant or storage location, and we won't be able to do some additional functions like costing it or selling it or making production orders for it, etc. So this is very important. It's the one of the most important master data in SAP. So if we go on, we access to the MRP view, and we see that here we see in the top the material, the description, and then the plant. This is very important. What it is telling us is that the data we see in this view, not all the data, because there are some data that are not dependent on the plant. For instance, the base unit of measure is going to be used in all the different plants. But there are some fields like MRP type that it can be different depending on the plant. So if we enter with a different plant where this material is used, we could have a different MRP type. MRP type is used to tell in the system how this material is going to be planned. So if we have, we could plan it with MRP in one plant, and in another we could use a reorder point or whatever other way of planning it. So this is very important, and you can see here where this data belongs. If we go to MRP4, here we see that in addition to the plant you have the storage location. Why we didn't have the storage location in MRP1? That was because there was no field that was dependent on the storage location. In this view, there are some fields. Here you see storage location MRP that are dependent upon the storage location. So we can have different values for these fields depending on the storage location where they have been created. We can plan in a different way in one storage location or in another. You see that here we are not seeing the company code that we saw in the overview. This is because plants are assigned internally to each plant company code. Each plant can only belong to a company code. So this is for us easier to manage because we don't have to remember or enter in the company code once we enter the plant. We're going to see now where in customizing, this is a technical task, but just as a way of seeing it in SAP, we are going to see it where it is this defined. So if we go to the help, if we remember there was a button that where we could go to customizing. This is the help for this field. And we can continue. Not all users are going to have authorization for seeing this transaction. This is a technical task that in this case, as it is the organizational structure, it should be defined in the first stages of an implementation project. Here we see, here there are the related customizing points to this field, to the field plant. And here we see we have one that is logistics general definition. So if we go to it, here we can define, copy and delete plant. This is the customization menu with all the functions. Here we see that we are in the enterprise structure folder, in the definition and in the logistics general. Here is where plants are going to be defined. If we double click, we see that here we have all the plants that are defined in this SAP implementation. This is a demo implementation, a demo instance, but in each company they are going to have their different plants. Here we see that we have the 1000 plant, and if we select it and go to this field that is for getting additional data, we can see the name of the plant, the address, postal code, city, language, so some basic fields that define this plant. If we go back, we can go now to see where we define to which company code this plant belongs. So if we go to this other folder assignment, here we have a folder called Logistics General, and here we see a point that says assign plant to company code. So if we enter, here we see the different plants, here the company code. In the case of 1000, the plant 1000, we see that is assigned to the company code 1000, the same number. So this is the reason why the system is not asking us for the company code, because it is automatically inferred from the plant. And we can see also where we define the storage locations. Here in the definition materials management, we see that we have a point that is called maintain storage location. Here it is asking us for the plant. We are going to use the same, the plant 1000. But as you see, when we are going to see a storage location, we have to enter first the plant, because storage locations should be always assigned to a plant. So if we enter here, there are the different storage locations that were created for this plant. Normally we are not going to have so many. It depends on the needs of each plant. But normally in a factory we will have one for the raw materials, one for the finished goods, and maybe one for semi-finished goods. But it depends on the needs of each company.